Vachakachara Shila Astutar, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Yamuna Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I'm allergic to it. Thank you. You can just leave it for someone. Hare Krishna, good morning. Thank you for coming. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 21, entitled Conversation Between Manu and Kadama. So I was asked by Daksha just yesterday to give the verse, and Mukunda Maharaj spoke yesterday on Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, so he didn't speak on the verse. So today we'll be doing 32 from yesterday and 33. And I seek the blessings of all the devotees that I can speak something that will be beneficial to all of us, and especially I'm speaking for my self-purification. Whatever I've heard and read and from Prabhupada and his followers, I'm trying to imbibe this, so it's not at all like that whatever I'm reading is what I've achieved, so I'm also an aspiring devotee. So before we start, we chant the invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sahaham Swam Shakalaya. Tadviryena Mahamune. Tava Kshetre Devahutya Hutyam Pranesh Ye Tattva Samhitam Sahaham Swam Shakalaya Tadviryena Mahamune Tava Kshetre Devahutyam Praneshye Tattva Samhitam. Please. Devahutyam Praneshye Tattva Samhitam. Ladies. Aham Swam Shakalaya Tadviryena Mahamune Praneshye Tattva Samhitam. Would you like to try? Word for word, Saha, with Aham, I, Sva-amsha Kalaya, my own plenary portion, Vatviryena, by your semen, Mahamune, O great sage, Tava Kshetre, in your wife, Devahutyam, in Devahuti, Praneshye, I shall instruct, Tattva, of the ultimate principles, Samhitam, the doctrine. Translation. O great sage, I shall manifest my own plenary portion through your wife, Devahuti, along with your 9 daughters, and I shall instruct her in the system of philosophy that deals with the ultimate principles of all categories. Please repeat. O great sage, I shall manifest my own plenary portion through your wife, Devahuti, along with your 9 daughters, and I shall instruct her in the system of philosophy that deals with the ultimate principles or categories. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Herein the word Swamsha Kalaya indicates that the Lord would appear as the son of Devahuti and Kadama Muni as Kapila Dev, the first propounder of the Sankhya philosophy, which is mentioned here as Tattva Samhita. The Lord foretold to Kadama Muni that he would appear in his incarnation Kapila Dev and would propagate the philosophy of Sankhya. Sankhya philosophy is very well known in the world as propagated by another Kapila Dev, but the Sankhya philosophy is different from the Sankhya which was propounded by the Lord himself. There are 2 kinds of Sankhya philosophy. One is godless Sankhya philosophy and the other is godly Sankhya philosophy. The Sankhya propagated by Kapila Dev, the son of Devahuti, is godly philosophy. There are different manifestations of the Lord. He is one, but he has become many. He divides himself into 2 different expansions, one called Kala and the other Vibhinamsha. Ordinary living entities are called Vibhinamsha expansions, and the unlimited expansions of Vishnu Tattva, such as Vamana, Govinda, Narayan, Pradyumna, Vasudeva, and Ananta, are called Swamsha Kala. Swamsha refers to a direct expansion, and Kala denotes an expansion from the expansion of the original Lord. Baladev is an expansion of Krishna, and from Baladev the next expansion is Sankarshan. Thus Sankarshan is Kala, but Baladev is Swamsha. There is no difference, however, among them. This is very nicely explained in the Brahma Samhita 546. Diparchir eva hi dashantaram abhyutpetya. With one candle, one may light a second candle, with a second, a third, and then a fourth. And in this way, one can light up thousands of candles, and no candle is inferior to another in distributing light. Every candle has the full potential candle power, but there is still the distinction that one candle is the first, another the second, another the third, and another the fourth. Similarly, there is no difference between the immediate expansions of the Lord and his secondary expansion. The Lord's names are considered in exactly the same way, since the Lord is absolute. His name, his form, his pastimes, his paraphernalia, and his quality all have the same potency. In the absolute world, the name Krishna is the transcendental sound representation of the Lord. There is no potential difference between his quality, name, form, etc. If we chant the name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, that has as much potency as the Lord himself. There is no potential difference between the form of the Lord whom we worship and the form of the Lord in the temple. One should not think that one is worshipping a doll or statue of the Lord, even if others consider it to be a statue, because there is not potential difference. One gets the same result by worshipping the statue of the Lord or the Lord himself. This is the science of Krishna consciousness. I'll just quickly read the translation and purport of text 33. Maitreya went on, thus having spoken to Kadama Muni, the Lord who reveals himself only when the senses are in Krishna consciousness, departed from that lake called Bindu Sarovar, which was encircled by the river Saraswati. Purport. One word in this verse is very significant. The Lord is stated here to be Pratyag Akshaja. He is imperceptible to material senses, but still he can be seen. This appears to be contradictory. We have material senses, but how can we see the Supreme Lord? He is called Adokshaja, which means that he cannot be seen by the material senses. Akshaja means knowledge perceived by material senses. Because the Lord is not an object that can be understood by speculation with our material senses, he is also called Ajita. He will conquer, but no one can conquer him. What does it mean then? That still he can be seen? It is explained that no one can hear the transcendental name of Krishna, no one can understand his transcendental form, and no one can assimilate his transcendental pastimes. It is not possible. Then how is it possible that he can be seen and understood? When one is trained in devotional service and renders service unto him, gradually one's senses are purified of material contamination. When one's senses are thus purified, then one can see, one can understand, one can hear, and so on. The purification of the material senses and perception of the transcendental form, name, and quality of Krishna are combined together in one word, Pratyag Akshaja, which is used here. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Krishna Goswamita Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Govardhana Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Sakarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'll try to speak on a few things that Prabhupada mentioned. Prabhupada here mentions the Vishnu Tattva. So Vishnu Tattva is referring to Krishna's expansions like Baladev, Lord Nityananda, and it mentioned the Narayan. So Krishna is explained here, he is the original candle, and from him, from Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are many candles that are lit. It says there in Nectar of Devotion, we are currently studying Nectar of Devotion with Ikshwaku Prabhu in the Bhakti Shastri. It says there that there are unlimited expansions of the Lord that we can't even count the amount of waves in the ocean. There's unlimited expansions of the Lord. So his secondary expansions are, they equally distribute the light. They compare to a candle. And every candle has the full potential candle power. But there's still a distinction because we understand, Prabhupada mentions here in the purport that there's still the original candle. And there's no difference between the immediate expansion of the Lord and his secondary expansion. So recently we had the appearance day of Lord Nityananda, who is an expansion of Lord Baladev, Balaram, and Lord Balaram is an expansion of Krishna. So we pray to Lord Nityananda, Lord Balaram, to give us spiritual strength so we can make progress in devotional life. And Prabhupada mentions here also that the Lord is absolute. His name, His forms, His pastimes, His qualities all have the same potency. So in this age, Kali Yuga, we understand that there's 4 ages. The golden age, Satya Yuga, the silver age, Treta Yuga, the bronze age, Dwapara Yuga, and the iron age, which we are in currently, Kali Yuga. So in this age, it's the recommended process for God realization is chanting the holy names of the Lord, the Sankirtan Yagya, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And this name of Krishna is equally powerful as the Lord Himself. And it also mentioned there that these are not statues. So Prabhupada went all around the world and he established these temples and centers all around the world. And there's these deities that are there. So these deities, they're actually carved through authorized scriptures, the guidelines. They're not just some speculation done by someone. There's special persons, they call stapatis, who make these deities of the Lord, and they follow the strict guidelines and of the scriptures on how the Lord is described, his different parts of his body and his features. And the devotees, the pure devotees of the Lord, the Mahatmas, they invoke the Lord's presence within the deity. And there's no difference between worshipping Krishna in his deity form, his Archa Vigraha, or his holy name, or even hearing his pastimes, attending Srimad Bhagavatam class. The same potency is equally available. In Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada mentioned here that about deity worship and Sankirtan Yagya. So in the Nectar of Devotion, it's mentioned there in chapter 9, further consideration of devotional principles. And it talks about Archana. So Archana means deity worship. So in Dwapara Yuga, the recommended process was deity worship, but why is it still going on in Kali Yuga? And also the recommended process in Satya Yuga was meditation, and Treta Yuga there was fire sacrifices. So we see also in this Iron Age, we still worship the deity, we have fire sacrifices, and we have meditation. But everything is centered around the hearing and chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the holy names of the Lord, even though we are vibrating it with our material tongue, it is actually the transcendental sound vibration coming directly from the spiritual world, and it cleanses our heart and our mind. In the Nectar of Devotion, it mentions the Sankirtan. When a person loudly chants the glories of the Lord's activities, qualities, form, etc., his chanting is called Sankirtan. Sankirtan also refers to the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. In the 7th canto, 9th chapter, verse 18 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Prahlad offers the following prayers to the Lord. My dear Lord Nrsimha, if I can be elevated to the position of your servant, then it will be possible for me to hear about your activities. You are the supreme friend, the supreme worshipable deity. Your pastimes are transcendental, and simply by hearing of them, one can counteract all his sinful activities. Therefore, I shall not care for all those sinful activities, because simply by hearing about your pastimes, I shall get out of all the contamination of material attachment. So this requires some faith, just like we have some faith when we're driving on the road. So sometimes when it comes to spiritual knowledge, people say that we should do, why is it, are there some restrictions? Why are there some do's or don'ts? It's just like in the material world, driving on the road, every country has traffic rules. So why do we minimize or we try to water down and think that spiritual life is so cheap that there's no guidelines? Also, if someone goes to university, they need to apply themselves. They need to sacrifice their weekends to go out with their friends, socialize, to study. So in spiritual life, there are some also do's and don'ts. And these are actually to help elevate us. So the 4 regulative principles are no illicit sex. Yeah. So these are the don'ts, and the do's are chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And it's recommended also, Nectar of Devotion, it's a study of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya that he taught to Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami is giving us these guidelines to help us take step-by-step progression and become purified. And so we can learn, just like if we go to the Buckingham Palace or we go visit some royalty, there's some rules of etiquette involved. It's not that we go in our shorts and our vest or singlet and then we go see the king or queen. There's some rules of etiquette, even there's dress codes, and there's a formality in greeting. So in spiritual life also, there are certain things that we do, just like we rise early in the morning, we come to the temple, we bow down before the Lord and his pure devotees, and we sing prayers of glorification in the morning, the Guru Vashtakam, prayers to the spiritual master, because by the mercy of the spiritual master, we can approach Krishna. It's just like in a government, we can't approach the president directly. We have to approach his secretary, then his ministers. So it's like that. We can't approach the Lord directly. We have to go through his dear devotees. Prabhupada gives the example of a man, he's walking his dog, and he's a very wealthy man. So if we go approach the man directly, he'll think, oh, who are you? I don't want to talk to you. He won't even pay any attention to us. But if we go down and we pat the dog and he say, what a lovely dog you have, then his attention will be drawn to us because he has affection and love for his dog. So the devotee, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is the father of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, whose appearance day was yesterday, and he is the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. Such pure devotees, elevated devotees, he considered that even if I have to become a dog in the house of a devotee, I'll be fortunate because I can hear the holy names of the Lord and I can get some prasadam, holy sanctified food offered to the Lord. So the devotee thinks himself as the dog, as the servant of the Lord. And the devotee is so dear to Krishna that when we serve Krishna's devotees, and that is the key to getting Krishna's attention, when we serve his devotees and we do what the devotee asks. In Bhagavad Gita 4:34, the famous verse, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te gnanam gnanina tattvadarshinaha. It says that just try to approach the spiritual master, render service unto him, and inquire from him submissively, because those self-realized souls, they have seen the truth, they can reveal it to us. So it's in the material world, it's like ISKCON Swami was here recently, and someone was questioning, like people want to do what they want to do, maybe we should consider changing some of the rules within the movement. But actually it's because people have lost faith, and those who are in position, sometimes they have misused their position and people don't trust authority. But actually Vedic authority, the holy scriptures and the genuine followers of the Lord, the pure devotees of the Lord, like Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they are worth taking shelter of because they can get us out of this material world. It says, when we also take shelter of the pure devotee of Krishna, the material world, which is compared to an ocean, we can't cross the ocean even in a little boat. We can't cross the whole ocean, but the vast ocean. But when we take shelter of Krishna and his pure devotees, it's explained in the Vedic scriptures that it becomes the size of a calf's hoof print, that the water becomes the size of a calf's hoof print, that we can easily cross over it. So that is the secret, that is the key of how to get Krishna's mercy, is by trying to please his dear devotees and following them. Yesterday I was listening to a class on Facebook on Vaisheshika Prabhu's page called Fan the Spark, and he was in Mayapur and he was talking about it was the appearance day of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he was talking about the pastimes of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And as we all heard, that he was called a Sima Guru. Sima means lion, a lion guru, that he didn't tolerate nonsense. He would take someone by the collar and he would correct them and chastise them. Of course, we can't take that position, but we can see that we don't tolerate this this watered down philosophy or misinterpretation of the Vedic scriptures. So it was one devotee questioned by Sheshika Prabhu that there are so many things that we can do in practicing devotional service. So what is the value in following the authority? If we're chanting and following the four regulative principles, that is actually, he said, then we considered lucky, because in this material world, it's very difficult. Just following the four regulative principles and chanting 16 rounds is actually a great austerity. But because we are in the association of devotees, we are carried by the mercy of the devotees. And that's why it's so important. And the number one, there's 5 main principles, main angas or limbs of bhakti, and the number one is the association of devotees. And there's chanting the holy names of the Lord, living in a holy place, like Prabhupada created holy places, and his followers are also creating more holy places. This is New Govardhana, the holy Dham. And hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, by Prabhupada's mercy, we are all able to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So, association of devotees is so powerful, because by the association of devotees we can make progress. The example is given of Bharat Maharaj. There was one great king. He was so elevated. He ruled over the whole earthly planet, and he was so renounced. And he loved Krishna so much that he gave up his kingdom, his beautiful wife and children, and he went to the forest to meditate and in the last stages of his life. But he became attached to a deer, even though he was on such an elevated position of Bhava Bhakti. He fell down because of his attachment to a deer. So one may consider that even if one is so elevated and making so much progress, the association of devotees is so crucial. Because if he was in the association of devotees, then I heard one class also by Sheshika Prabhu was saying that someone would say, "My dear Prabhu, you are becoming attached to this deer." So if we have devotees, they can also correct us and guide us. But also we need to be open to correction. By Sheshika Prabhu has this mantra, this maxim that he says, "I live to be corrected." So if we are not open to correction and we think we know everything, and we puffed up, then that is, there's a saying, pride comes before the fall. So sometimes we may be given responsibility and position, and we think we know everything, and we're not open, and we think we know better. Just like the spiritual master, he asked for a glass of water, and we think we know better. We're doing all this research, and we think we can give him a glass of milk. Yes, on some level, the glass of milk is even considered higher. But when the spiritual master asks for a glass of water, we follow his instructions. And the example is given of Lord Chaitanya. He was chanting and dancing, and he is the Lord himself. And when someone asked him that Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, he said, my spiritual master considered me a fool, so I am just only chanting. So we don't present ourselves as so knowledgeable and so authoritative that we know everything. Lord Chaitanya himself is showing by his own example how humility, amanitva, is so important in devotional life, whether we're practicing for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. This is just one lifetime. We have had millions of lives traversing through 8,400,000 species of life, and we think that we are in this one human body, and we think we are all in all, we are the center of the world, just like Prabhupada mentioned, and also Rupa Raghunath Prabhu sometimes mentioned in his class about his spiritual master Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He's a very great devotee, but Prabhupada, he's teaching through his dear devotee, his empowered soldier, of how the importance of humility, where he says, on this earth planet, there's one country called America, and in that one country, there's one little city. And in one little city, there's one temple, and in one temple, there is this one, he says his name, who thinks he is a great devotee. So if there are great devotees who are doing amazing things, and even them, Prabhupada is teaching the importance, the principle of humility. And we should understand that there are devotees who are empowered, just like His Holiness Keshava Swami came and he gave talks at the Krishna village and also here. And you can sense it. It's just like Vaisheshika Prabhu says that a sadhu, a holy person who's practicing, who's sincerely trying to follow, becomes as sensitive as an eyeball. Just one little tiny speck or a hair goes in the eye, it becomes so sensitive. So that they're so sensitive, someone comes in the temple room and they're eating garlic, it comes out of the pores of their skin, and they'll look around and say, oh, who ate garlic? So a sadhu, a sage, is so sensitive. Not that we become proud or we can sense it. It's just like one class someone was saying, what is the consequences of pride and committing offenses to devotees is that devotees will move away. They will just detour away from the devotees. So we have to be so cautious that whatever stage, however long we're practicing, that we always maintain that humility. And we could sense that in many devotees. They were so inspired by S.P. Keshava Swami. You can sense his deep humility. And he even mentioned himself that he is introvert nature, but he is doing this the service of sharing this Krishna consciousness with the world by the guidance of his dear spiritual master, and who is serving his spiritual master and his spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and going up to Krishna. So that deep humility that his spiritual master, actually, Kadamba Kanana Swami, always he would mention that I'm the product of the devotee's mercy. So devotees of such high caliber, they think that I'm the product of the devotee's mercy. And here we are, we think we are so great. We are given a certain responsibility, taking care of this ashram or taking care of this temple, or given some responsibility in the DT department or at the village. Whatever we do, when we are given this responsibility, understand that there is some degree of empowerment given by my spiritual master and the Lord to do this service. And as soon as I think I'm the knight in shining armor coming to ride the horse and I am the savior and helper of all the devotees, then that is pride comes before the fall. We should always see ourselves as instruments of our spiritual master and of Krishna in serving his mission. And even though we may be able to do something so great and we may get appreciation, the way how we can pray for humility and remain humble is to pass on that credit to the spiritual master. It's just like my spiritual master, whenever it's his Vyasa Puja. So Vyasa Puja is actually the birthday of the spiritual master, but it's called Vyasa Puja because he is the representative of Vyasadeva, who is an incarnation, literary incarnation of the Supreme Lord who wrote the Bhagavatam. So they are representing that personality, so they have taken on the responsibility, so we honor their birthday and we call it Vyasa Puja. Every year we celebrate it, and disciples, we honor the spiritual master, we sing the Guru Puja, prayers to the spiritual master. But the spiritual master is also singing the prayers that we are singing, the Guru Puja, Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. So he is also singing it because he is offering that prayer back to his spiritual master, and his spiritual master is offering it back to his spiritual master. And then that honor and that appreciation is given to Krishna. So we should always understand that we are very insignificant, and that we, by some mercy, we may be given a higher degree of potency, or whatever degree we are given, we offer it to the Lord. So in the verse, Prabhupada mentions the word pratyag akshaja, which means the Lord is imperceptible to material senses. And he is ajita, he is unconquerable. But actually the Lord can be conquered. How can he be conquered? Yes, bhakti. Thank you, Bhakta Tom. He can be conquered by bhakti, by devotional service. It's mentioned in Bhakti, in Brahma Samhita 538. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena shanta sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achintya gunan swarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So in the morning every day we greet the deities. We're actually chanting 2 of the Brahma Samhita prayers, and these prayers are by Lord Brahma to Krishna. And he is showing us the process that he recommends us to approach the Lord. So in this verse, the translation of that prayer is, I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shyamasundar, situated within the heart of the devotees. So when our eyes are anointed with love for the Lord by the practice of devotional service, then we can, our senses become purified. When we use our hands for cleaning the temple of the Lord, chopping up vegetables for cooking for the Lord's offering, doing gardening for the Lord's offering, using our eyes to see the devotees, to see the form of the Lord, and using our mouth to chant the holy names of the Lord and speak of his glories and the glories of his devotees, then our senses become purified. And in Sri Ishopanishad, it's in mantra 6, 7 and 8, it talks about the Mahabhagavata's vision. So a Mahabhagavata is a pure devotee of the Lord. And what is their vision? How do they see the world? So they see the world, they see in mantra 6, it says they see everything as part and parcel of the Lord. Mantra 7, they see everything as one qualitatively with the Lord. And mantra 8, they see Krishna always as a person. So he's not an impersonal, some light or some effulgence. He is actually a person who has a beautiful threefold bending form. You can see today Bhakti dressed very beautifully, Radha Govardhandari, on behalf of her spiritual master, Jayapataka Swami. Whenever we serve the Lord, we are serving on behalf of our spiritual master, and the credit goes to our spiritual master and spiritual masters and Krishna for allowing us to serve the Lord. And every single service we do is informed by our practice, by our hearing and chanting. Just like every day we need to sustain ourselves by eating prasadam. So similarly, spiritual life, we need to also continue eating food blessed by the Lord prasadam and continue to sustain our bhakti lata, the seed of devotion, through chanting of the holy names of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, and hearing about the pastimes of the Lord. So hearing Srimad Bhagavatam every day is so crucial. Sometimes when we are engaged in service, maybe we're not able to attend Bhagavatam class and we are behind in the back. We can still hear the vibration. Thanks to Daksha Prabhu, we have the New Govardhana YouTube channel, and also in the DT department we have a speaker that's connected, so we can listen to the class while we are doing service, because on the farm we all know that everyone's engaged to maximum capacity. Devotees are doing many services, or everyone is engaged, so sometimes we need to also manage our time and be practical. But this hearing of the Lord's pastimes, attending Srimad Bhagavatam class, giving oral reception is so important. It's just like the saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So chanting, eating Krishna Prasadam, hearing a lecture every day is so important and vital. In Bhagavad Gita, it mentions the devotional practices, they immunize our body against the material contamination. So whether one gets vaccinated through obviously there was some controversy, but there's also natural vaccination. So we can be immunized through natural medicines or through other means that are provided by the allopathic medicine. But in whatever means we can, we need to get ourselves immunized by chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. So I just mentioned here, yesterday Mukunda Maharaj, he says that we see the Lord through the ears, so we see by hearing. One cannot, in the purport of this verse, it says, one cannot, of Sri Ishopanishad Mantra 6, Prabhupada mentions there in the purport that one cannot see properly unless one has heard from a superior source. And the highest source is the Vedic system, which is spoken by the Lord himself. Vedic truths are coming in disciplic succession. So disciplic succession is the authorities, the gurus. We are following the guru who is following his guru. And that knowledge is descending directly from Krishna. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 1731, there is a caution, a word of warning given to all of us. There is, we understand that we need to follow in the footsteps of the devotees. So that is called anusar. And then there is another one which is called anukar, which means imitate, or we try to copy, or we try to parrot what the pure devotees are doing. So the example of a parrot is when Prabhupada once he was giving, I think it was the last Ekadasi class, Prabhupada was mentioning that if we try to imitate, and the parrot can learn how to chant Hare Krishna, but as soon as a cat comes or the neck is being strangled, Prabhupada says it will go te, so it will start squawking. So we can't imitate and chant Hare Krishna, it has to go deep in the heart. So whatever we do, we may do it externally. Also speaking for myself, we may do so many services externally, so-called high-level services. Actually, sweeping the floor, the floor of the temple and deity worship is on an equal platform. It's the consciousness that is the vital point. So if we become puffed up by doing so-called high-level service, then that is our fall down. We are just like externally following it, but there's no substance inside. So we always need to be introspective, always question my motive. Am I doing this to please Krishna? Am I doing this to please my spiritual master? So Srila Prabhupada in that purport mentions that we do not imitate the Mahabhagavat. Our best efforts should be exerted in trying to follow them according to our ability. And I really like this example that ISKCON Swami gives about the foundation. If there's an earthquake, if the foundation is not strong, even though the building may be so high, skyscraper, but because it's not built on strong foundations of bhakti, then a little on the Richter scale, the earthquake scale, even if it's on a smaller degree of tremors, the whole building will collapse. So if we think that we are ticking the box, okay, we are going, I got first, I got second, I've got some position, I've got whatever, and we're trying to build up externally, but we're not cultivating. It's not that also externally it may not be there, but that internal cultivation has to be there. Otherwise, the life quakes will come and the whole building will collapse. No matter how many years we're practicing in the movement, whether we have certain, whatever position we may have, and we can see that sometimes even within our movement and within also other spiritual organizations, someone can reach such a high level position and then there's some controversy and some things happen and then they fall down. So that should teach us to be humble. And of course, we don't judge that devotee. In the pages of Bhagavatam, there are many examples of great elevated devotees who fell down. But there, Vaisheshika Prabhu talks about it. The Srimad Bhagavatam is a book of comebacks. It teaches us how we can come back. If we fall down, we get up and we go, just like Bharat Maharaj. He was born again. In the next life, he remembered his past life and he was very cautious. He remained humble. He even pretended to such a degree that he pretended to be deaf and dumb, just so that he wouldn't get. Of course, we're not going to do that, but we need to use our intelligence, how we can protect our consciousness. Pray to Krishna, please purify my consciousness and please protect me so that I can serve your mission, serve your dear devotees. So I'll end there. If anyone has any questions, comments, corrections. We're just getting the microphone because we have people, devotees listening online.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for the class. Rupa Goswami and talks about in the Nectar of Instruction, and Prabhupada also, about serving with enthusiasm and with confidence. But sometimes we serve with pride and think it's enthusiasm and confidence. How can we differentiate the two when we're serving?
Just like when we have a relationship with a family member, if we do something that's a little bit off, we'll see that person will withdraw and they won't even want to talk to that person. So we see the example, I think recently someone gave a class, what's the indication? We'll see the devotees will detour around that person. So there's some degree of pride involved. The person's not open. They think they know better. Then, okay, Hare Krishna, you think you know better, you can do what you want, and devotees detour. So that is also the indication also that there's some pride there, when also there is a withdrawal. So withdrawal from the devotees, there's an indication that there's something not right in my consciousness, in my heart. That's my understanding. Yes, Prabhu? You can turn it on.
I think this is okay. Thank you. You mentioned to be devoted to in service of Krishna's mission. What is the mission of Krishna?
Lord Chaitanya in this Kali Yuga came, and he is Krishna himself. Because we don't understand, he incarnated, or he's personally present in this form as a devotee, Lord Chaitanya, to teach us the congregational chanting of the holy names. So actually we are all part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, but we want to enjoy separately from Krishna. So that's why we came in the material world. But it's just like a parent, he loves the child so much, and but the child doesn't want to serve the mission of his father to join his company, where he'll get all the benefits, but he thinks he'll do it independently. This is just an example. Of course, the child can do it independently within some parameters. So, but the child wants to go and take intoxication and do all sorts of things, thinking I'm the center. I'm not going to serve my elders, my father who's teaching me the business. And then I think I'm independent. And that is swaying away from the mission of Krishna, or in this example of the Father. So the Father wants us to be happy, because we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, only by serving Him we'll be happy. It's just like sugar. The sugar's nature is sweetness. If there is no sweetness in sugar, it's not sweet. So our constitutional nature is that we are servants. We are servants of the Lord. So in the material world, we try to serve our wife, our husband, our children, our country, our whole nation, so do humanitarian work, save the species, animals, whales, but we are not putting God in the center, so we can't help anyone. It's just a band-aid solution. But when we shift our consciousness, naturally there will be conservation, there will be all these purposes will be fulfilled. By just putting God, Krishna in the center, we can still do conservation, because we see that these animals are part of the Supreme Lord. Nature is part of the Supreme Lord. We look after Mother Earth, we look after the world, we look after the people. So like that, I hope that answers your question. So anything else? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.